Hey, what's up, nerds? It's Paul here at Radio Free Hammer Hall. Today, we're doing something a little bit different, trying out something new. Today, we're going to be talking about Warcry. Specifically, we're going to talk about the deployment portion of Warcry and some strategy around that and a little bit of math hammer. I have with me good buddy Brandon. He's
What's up, nerds?
That way.
Over here.
Yeah, that side. Apparently, I'm like mirrored. So that it feels unnatural. Anyway, so everybody knows who I am. So, Brandon, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm 5'10" and I'm not single. I don't know. I like to play these war games with you, Paul, and the crew back in old times when we could.
Yeah.
For now,
way back when we were allowed to see each other in person.
I know, right? Well, if you go underground, you can still play safely, masked up in the shadows, Fight Club style, and that's why Warcry is so great. This is going to be my focus, I think, for 2021. I don't have time for big AOS anymore. Lots of Age of Sigmar greatness, but not enough time. So shrink it down to Warcry, keep it casual, and that's where I'm headed for 2021, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, Warcry right now is really great with the whole pandemic thing going on. Because if you're somebody that is, okay with going over to your friend's house and wearing a mask and all of that stuff, you can just sit down at a kitchen table and play Warcry, and you don't have to worry about having like a full 6x4 gaming table and all of that stuff. Like, it's kitchen table size.
Absolutely.
The games are quick, so you're not worried about all kinds of crazy stuff. And, you still get to paint your models and paint your terrain and all that stuff like, you do with AOS.
Yeah, the terrain is fantastic. Everybody knows that, and it's the best of both worlds, right? Like, so if you are a huge AOS player, you've already got all the parts and the pieces for this, and you jump right in and make a multitude of lists and have a great time. And if you're not a big AOS player, you don't have to be, because you can just buy a few models and jump right into the table. And it also allows you to test the waters and taste test a whole bunch of war bands. The whole gaming crew knows that's my deal. I think I'm spread across about 16, 18 war bands now.
That's a lot.
They need to be painted, but I was super addicted to those card packs, and now the new books are out with a whole bunch of updated stuff, and I'm ready to go. It's great. AOS, you got to focus on one army and beef it way up. And with Warcry, I don't have to, because I can play a whole bunch of stuff on a smaller scale and have just as much fun.
Yeah, I mean, one of the warband boxes or a start collecting box for a lot of armies will just get you right in the door and give you everything you need to get going.
Yeah, the warband boxes are looking much better this time around, but a lot of the start collecting boxes will get you right where you need to be too. So there's a lot of options for sure.
Yeah, and just from the monetary side, they're both very good deals. If you're looking at them compared to buying the kits individually, they're crazy deals.
Yeah, that video you did a little while ago on the breakdown of that was fantastic. It laid it all out, and if you had your eye on any certain warband, you knew right what you're heading into. And it's not much money to get started at all. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. The starter sets are a little bit pricey, but that's initial startup cost. All things considered, like I made a gaming table in my basement for Age of Sigmar, and my gaming table cost more to make than the Warcry starter set. So I feel like that's a pretty reasonable buy-in.
Yeah, absolutely. I built the table too. Once I realized that we all weren't going to hang out at the shop together frequently,
Yep.
I built a skirmish table. I got a 4x4 square in the basement, and it's ready to go. And it was I think it cost me like $80. So it's great. Now we just gotta get some people over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need to actually get together more and get some more games in.
Yep.
And I need to get a little bit more up to date on like grabbing the new books and all of that stuff. I'm still stuck in the past on the cards and the old books. And
yeah, I'm still trying to decide if I'm gonna roll the cards. I like the cards. One of our gaming buddies sleeved those up and dry erase marks right over them for wounds, and it's really pretty handy. But I mean, I just picked up the new book plus a couple of Alliance books, had them all spiral bound, and there's something great about being able to lay those books flat out on the table and reference those too. So maybe it's just going to be the duality of it for me. I think it seems to be the way to go. But yeah, get those books. The new books are pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's something that for the future of doing shows like this, if all this stuff starts working out well, people like the show, like what we're doing. I think doing shows going through all the war bands and talking about their abilities and the different fighter cards is definitely something we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything like that, warband analysis, breaking it down for each one. There's so many exciting ones to play for sure. Yeah. Good time.
And the abilities all make the warbands play a lot differently too, which is
there's so much flavor that went into picking the abilities and fine tuning it to make it feel like it fits just right for a lot of those warbands. It's good, real good.
Yeah, definitely. So the actual thing that we wanted to talk about tonight was going through deployment for the original core set deployment cards. So out of the core set, there is the 4 different decks: the deployment, the terrain setup, the twist, and the what's that called?
Victory condition. I don't know what it's called. Yeah,
victory condition.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And so the deployment cards are really interesting. There's 35 unique cards in the deck, and they're split into 2 different groups. There's 18 that are quote unquote match play. And then there's 17 that are just like narrative play, casual play, whatever you want to call it. So the distinguishing factor with those is all of the match play cards are perfectly symmetrical. Like each player is like mirrored on where they deploy, when things come on. Like your hammers are both coming on at the same time from like the opposite ends of the board.
Yep. No distinct advantage. It's all down to dice and skill. Yep.
Right. And then the other cards are a wild mix. And we can talk about those in a little bit more detail when we get there, because I found something kind of interesting when I was going through them. So just looking at the match play cards real quick, I went through and broke it down by hammer, shield, dagger for like where they come down on each card and like in what battle round they come in on. So for hammers in match play, they come in the first battle round 50% of the time. For the daggers, they come in the first battle round 55% of the time. And then for shields, they come in on the first battle round 72% of the time.
Shields where it's at.
Yeah. So it seems like for in very similar pattern also in the narrative play cards. They're a little bit different because they're asymmetrical.
Yeah, a little bit of a variant, but pretty close.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty close in general. That your shield is the thing that's most reliably going to be on the battlefield in the first battle round. And not only that, when it's not in the first battle round, it's always in the second battle round. It's never in the third.
Yep.
So that really kind of informs like what you want to put in your shield, so that you can kind of make an informed decision about what you're putting on the table, right? Like I would think, like with that, like what would you then be more commonly like? How would you arrange your shield, dagger, hammer?
Well, I think the way the core book breaks down battle groups, you have to have at least a fighter in every group. So you can't have just a hollow group, knowing that hammer's coming on late to the party. You can't leave it empty. So you got to have at least one in every group. You can't have more than half your warband in any one group, and the shield has to make up a third of it. So, I mean, strategy-wise, it all comes down to what warband you're playing. There's a whole, but for the majority of the generalization of it, you don't want to put any slow fighters in the hammer in case they end up coming in way late to the game. They're never going to make it to the party. They're just going to be dead weight hanging out in the back. The leader abilities are really great, so I always stick them in the shield, and any of the units that will work off of their abilities fall right in line with them. Fast movers in the dagger. Yeah, it's and like I said, it depends on. I mean, like I play a lot of Iron Jaws, and they are slow until they wah, and then they speed up. So although I try to stack a lot of the battle groups evenly, sometimes I don't, especially with Iron Jaws. I pack as much as I can into that shield because we got to get those boys moving up the board as fast as we can. And then we just hope for good dice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's really what I was thinking. And then also, because the hammer always comes in late, I'm thinking that that's a really good place to put highly mobile fighters.
Absolutely.
So that they can actually get into the action and do something.
Yeah, they got to get there. Coming in sometimes third round. It's painful, especially if you're Iron Jaws with no movement. You're not getting anywhere unless you're already deploying where the action is, for sure. So you got speeders in that one for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting, and dagger is the one that's sort of like in between. That I feel like that's there's an interesting choice between what goes in your shield and what goes in your dagger, because dagger is going to be starting on the field a lot of the time, particularly in the narrative play. Ones, they're actually more frequently deploying on the battlefield first. It's only 55% for the match play deployments, but for the rest, it's 70% for red and 82% for blue that they're starting in the first battle round. So it seems like dagger is another place where you're most likely coming on in the first battle round. If not, you're coming on in the second battle round. Rare case, you're coming on in the third. I think out of all of them, there's one card in match play that the dagger comes on third battle round. And in narrative play, there is only one card where one of the sides comes in the third battle round.
But I think, for the majority of the time when you're laying out your battle groups, for the most part, I try to go as even spread as I can for balance. And then there's also, there's been a time or two when we've pulled that victory condition when it's a kill group condition. And it always ends up being the group that you need to kill is the group that I put two little planes runners in, and they're never going to make it. Because I off-weighted it and put too many beefy guys in one group, and it just never works out. So you got to be real careful sometimes of those victory conditions where it's a kill group condition, and if you're not balanced out, it's not going to go well.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely, like, because of the different victory conditions, it definitely makes you want to balance out your different groups a little bit, just so that you don't get in that situation where, you draw a victory condition that's like, oh, kill everything in the hammer.
Yep.
Okay, well, I put one model in my hammer, so that's die.
That's always a bummer when that comes up. But yeah, definitely. But beefing up shield and dagger, because they hit the board first, and the majority of your work is going to be done by them, is the way I go the majority of the time. And then specialty reasons, depending on what what warband you're playing, especially if it's warbands that have aura abilities like the Ironjaw's Wa. Play some Legions of Nagash because I love those skeletons. And the Necromancer has a resurrect ability, so I try to cram as many skeletons into the shield with the Necromancer and drop them on the board first, because even if they're going down, they're coming right back up. As long as the dice are all right. Dice have to still cooperate, but for the most part, even battle groups is the way to go.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what things you're putting in those battle groups, right?
Yep. And I mean, as long as you're spread evenly, you can get to where you need to be. There's no one battle group that's only a couple fighters that are never going to get to where they need to go. So you can speed around the board and hit those objectives. As long as you're pretty evenly balanced, you can move people around.
Yeah. So here's the interesting bit that I came upon when I was analyzing the deployment deck. So looking at the narrative, open play, whatever you want to call them, the non-match play deployments, we know off the top that they're asymmetrical, right? Like they're not the same. All of them have different deployments for red than they do for blue.
Right.
It's not just that they have different deployments. It's that they're consistently slanted in one direction. That for red, they are more likely to have a battle group come down in the third battle round.
Okay.
They're more likely to have a battle group come down in the second battle round. They're less likely overall to have their groups come down in the first battle round. So, in general, it seems like it's better to be blue, like most of the time.
Yeah, and see, I didn't even know. I'm lazy. When we flip that card and priorities, like, oh, what color do you want? And I look at it and I just look at whatever color I've already set up at, because I'm not walking around the other side of the table. I got dice to throw, so I just pick, and so blue, I guess, is what I'm looking for from here on out.
Yeah, it's so consistent that they have more of their battle groups coming in the first battle round.
Yeah,
and I didn't expect the numbers to be as skewed as they are.
No, I know sometimes on those flips, you get a bum flip and they're asymmetrical, and you're like, oh, I'm kind of set up, but I didn't realize that it broke down to be that different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's enough of a difference to really start calling blue, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely very interesting. But with that combined, still, even with that, your shield is still the one that's most likely to come in the first battle round.
Right.
Overall, compared to the match play scenarios, you're more likely to get your battle groups onto the battlefield in the first battle round. Which, like, that's really interesting, that the match play ones have more delayed deployment than the narrative ones do.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense, because you don't want a board wipe in the first go on a match play event. It's just not a fun play experience. So try to keep things dropping evenly. But Yeah, I guess we're picking blue, and you want to have a couple of speedy models in that shield group,
Right.
especially if you get stuck with red. So
Yeah. So out of let's talk maybe specific war bands. Out of the war bands that you play most consistently, with this information in mind, like how would you build your war bands differently? How would you arrange the battle groups differently?
I think narrative play. It's just going to be more balanced groups instead of. I've gotten to the habit of off weighting the war groups to be the shield and the dagger, and sticking a bunch of junk and hammer, hoping I'll get to where I get to, depending on what the victory condition flip is and where I need to be. But yeah, geez, I didn't realize it was that different for the color. I'm parked in a spot. I just take whatever color is on the flip. But yeah, that's and what's match play looking like? It's a little bit better on the red versus blue because
it's perfectly symmetrical on all of them.
Symmetrical, so it's not going to matter. But
yeah,
those narrative battles when you need to crush your opponent, blue, and I think probably at least get one fast mover in each battle group, just in case, so you can at least get somebody moving.
Yeah. One of the things that I've definitely learned with Warcry very early on is that movement is incredibly important.
It is. And fly, especially, I mean, we're playing underground and catacombs now, but above ground, anything that can fly, it's such a benefit till you get underground, and then fly doesn't matter. But yeah, for movement plus flight, oh man, if you're ghosts or those aether winged birds, you're wherever you want to be at any moment. It's beautiful, as long as it's you.
Yeah, I haven't looked that closely at the Karatran Overlords cards, but I would imagine they've got to be really strong because they have all of the balloon boys, and all of their stuff shoots.
Yep.
So they've got to have some interesting stuff in there that they're able to do.
That's one of the new ones I have not dropped on the table yet, but I am eager to because of the reasons you just presented. They seem like they're going to be a good time for sure.
Mm-hmm. And they seem like they've got to be decently armored as well, right?
I mean, they've got to be, right? It's just a bunch of metal balloons floating around.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to be like toughness 5, but I mean, no, I can see a decent number of them being toughness 4, right?
Yeah.
That's something too that that's certainly worth thinking about is where you're dropping like the number of wounds and the toughness in your models.
I think yes on the wounds, the war groups, how many wounds you're packing into each group. The toughness, I don't know. From the very beginning, I've been in the camp that I don't care about toughness as long as I think it's dice. I'm fishing for crits every time. So I think no matter what the toughness is, if I can onslaught or get some sort of crazy consumable lesser artifact that I can chug a lug real quick and get an extra die, I'm doing it. No matter what the toughness is. I think I'm looking at how many dice can I throw, or possibly how many dice are getting thrown at me, no matter what my toughness is. But packing the wounds, counting wounds into the war groups, I think that's a valid point for sure.
Yeah, it seems like fishing for crits is like how to win. Like just putting out the most number of attacks possible, because crits do so much more damage than regular hits do.
Yeah, the burst is definitely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, those things that are like one attack, but they do a bunch of damage. I'm like, not feeling that so much.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it? That long shot Stormcast. He's only throwing one die. And we used to be able to onslaught that for like the first 3 weeks of the game until they got wise and corrected that. But maybe we'll go over it in a future episode. There's a little bit of lesser artifact shenanigans, I think, in the new book where you might be able to get him an extra die, possibly add in some mixed heroes into the group. Yeah, it should be pretty good on some of those heavy hitters that are only throwing 1 die. You may not have taken and played them for a while, but I think there's some new ways to beef them up to get some clear shots across the board.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, crits, fishing for crits for sure. You can throw a volley. It's worth it just to get one or two of those 6s on the board.
Yeah. Now you've played a lot of Iron Golems, right?
Yeah. Yep. When we did the narrative campaign at the shop, that was the first group I ran through, and I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 games into it, I liked them so much I went out and got that Age of Sigmar Slaves of the Darkness double box and tripled up all the units so I could really go crazy with the Drill Masters. Drill Masters are real nice. Iron Golems. Everybody goes for that Ogre Breacher, and even though that thing is a badass dude, I don't know, man. I'm only taking one and loading up on Drill Masters. Oh my God, Paul, did you just leave me alone? And this can't be happening. Oh, Paul, I warned you about this.
All right, I'm back. Put your pen.
Oh man, 5 more seconds and this was going to be a topless show. You're lucky. I'm just kidding. I never take off this Turbo Dork shirt. You know me.
Yeah. I have been having issues with my internet connection tonight, which sucks. But I'm like really close to the router right now too. I think I just need a new one.
Well, when's your birthday? I'll see what I can do.
February.
Ooh, close. All right, I'll start in the couch for nickels.
Oh man, I gotta search through my own couch and clean it out. I think I'll find a bunch of nickels just in like soda cans. So with Iron Golems are one of the more common war bands that people have because it's one of the ones that came out of the starter set, right?
Yep, came in the starter box with Untamed Beasts, and man, what a fantastic starter. If anybody can still find it, that thing was great. More often than not, like most people, when a core box, a starter box comes out, it's two war bands, 2 armies, and one of them always sucks, just really not appealing. And when I saw this Warcry thing, there was not a single thing I hated about it. I was sold from the moment I laid my eyes on it. Both war bands are great aesthetically. They both play quite differently, and it's great. It's great. I got to dip back into Untamed Beasts a little bit, get that Conan the Barbarian feel back. But Iron Golems, almost done painting them up, and they've been really good. They're slow as shit, but they can hit. They're really good if you can get them there. Yeah.
And I really like that they have a double that's just like, here's more damage because I have extra dice.
Yep. Always a good time. Always a good time. Anytime there's more dice, always a good time.
Yeah. So how, for all the people out there that are probably playing Iron Golems, how do you usually set up your deployment with them?
That warband I spread pretty evenly. I do, because I picked up extra units, I do put a Drill Master in each of the Hammer, Dagger, Shield. Because that ability is fantastic to be able to just whip that thing around and get a shot on everybody within range. Depending, I'm kind of 50-50 on taking that Ogre Breacher, but if I do, I drop him in the shield, especially if I'm playing against somebody who's not seen the warband before, because that thing is just beefy. And even if it does nothing, it's a bullet sponge, and everybody freaks out when they see it. And they aim for it, and it kind of leaves you to do whatever else you want to do while they try to tackle that.
It's definitely a giant distraction artifact at very least.
Yeah, absolutely. The Bone Brothers, they got the Bone Saw and the Bone Axe. One's a little slightly better than the other one, but I always drop them into the group. I just feel like I can't split those brothers up. They need to fight together. So that's always fun. But yeah, the biggest thing is a drill master in each war group. That's the biggest thing. That was the main reason I ended up buying extra units. Was just to get more drill masters. That's the real MVP of that group.
Yeah. Interesting. So, as a part of deployment, I guess really army composition is really part of deployment as well. That's like the thing that comes before you actually deploy. So when you're putting warbands together, what are you thinking about with like what you're choosing for your list?
When I'm building it out of the box for the first time?
Like when you're building a list to put it on the table.
For the most part, especially for the whole first year or so of Warcry, if I ever got starter boxes, I didn't care at all. I just I built them for whatever looked pleasing to the eye and any of the cool units. I didn't take too hard a look at any of the stats because I'm not the smartest guy. Math sucks. I hate it, and all I know is I just need to throw more dice. That's it. That was the only thing I would look for. What do I need to get ability-wise to let me throw more dice just to fish for those crits? So, yeah, I mean, the greatest thing about this game, no matter what warband you play, is just how cool everything looks. And it's very casual. I mean, there are match play tournaments and it's competitive, but for the ones that we've played, it's not a cutthroat to the death. It's always just a good time. It feels just as casual as any other night, and you get a couple of cool prizes at the end, and that's a bonus. But yeah, warband composition. Other than I really went all in on Iron Golems once I realized how. Paul, your cat sounds sick.
I know.
It's terrible. Master.
I think she's gonna hairball.
That drill master was the one unit that I needed more of, and boxes and loading up. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, when I'm building out the warbands, it's just whatever looks cool and what units I like to play. If I need to multiply and get a couple of one unit that's fun, Untamed Beasts, I know those up. That beast speaker with the rock tusk prowler there. So I always throw 2 or 3 of those rock tusks with the beast speaker, and that's the core element of that Untamed Beasts army for me. There's other models in there, but the main vehicle is that Beastmaster talking to those cats. Yeah,
you're making me want to pick up a 3rd set of Untamed Beasts.
You have 2 already?
Yeah, I've got 2.
Yeah, it's
finding one more is probably hard, which means I probably have to buy 2 more, and then I'd have a quad set and be able to do whatever I wanted.
Yeah,
I feel like you can do whatever you want with 3, though.
Yeah, I think 3 is about all you need of any of the starter boxes that they produce. I think 3 is the magic number, and I think that's why they were doing double boxes for Age of Sigmar, because everybody got the core starter single box, and then you could double up Age of Sigmar style. So yeah, 4 might be overkill, but if you do it, let me know. I might pick up some models from you.
Yeah, it definitely is a really strong warband. One of the things that I've been thinking about that it didn't quite click to me before until I played the Nurgle Demon warband. The value of those low point fighters where they seem worthless
until
you put them on the table.
Yeah.
And they are fantastic chaff.
Yeah.
You just get in the way. Your opponent just has to kill them to get where they want to go.
Yeah, with Untamed Beasts, those plains runners, there's nothing too crazy about them on paper, but when you drop 6 of them out there, they get in the way. They definitely do.
Right. You're just flooding the board with bodies, and then you have a couple of strong things to take out your opponent's stuff, some things that are mobile, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
That seems like a fairly decent formula for a warband in general, is a bunch of chaff stuff and a few pieces that are mobile and destructive.
Yep. Yep. You need a little bit of utility, but you definitely benefit from bodies on the board. It's just like trying to get an ability to onslaught for an extra die. You know, a couple extra bodies on the board can clog things up. Yep. More is better for sure. More fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I still just love like how cinematic this game can be, where you can jump down off of something and then attack somebody and smash them.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of the war bands, especially everything, in the beginning where it was just all the Chaos war bands they created for this, they were all very cinematic, tons of flavor to them, a lot of personality. Competitively, it kind of sucked when all the card packs started coming out and you could bring in the AOS war bands. It was a double-edged sword. It was awesome that we could play with all the things we already had, but if you were going up against some starter war bands, it was unbalanced at times for sure. I'm glad, at this stage of the game, everything is smoothed out. All the new books that I've been reading that have come out that I've gotten my hands on so far look great. There's so many new additions to it. I'm excited to figure out new ways to build out war groups in my war bands that I already play because of the new rules that allow you to bring in other models from other armies. There's so much potential for play, and it's terrible that we can't go play anywhere at the shops. So we're gonna have to like double mask up and get our bubble suits on and start trying some of this stuff out real soon for sure.
Yeah. And I know in some places, like everything is go for, going to shops and playing. But we're here in Connecticut, and the interesting thing that's happened in Connecticut, yes, is that a bunch of our game shops have banded together and decided to all basically have the same rules across the board.
Alliance has been formed, yes.
Yeah, so that nobody ends up with like a competitive advantage against each other for, what store is open for X, but this other store is not open for X.
Yep, it seems like a good plan. They're all in unison under one idea of following a particular protocol of action so that, no one store decides to get a little risky for the almighty dollar and let a few people play and something bad happens and then starts getting things shut down. I like that they're all banded together and they've got some good ideas and plans. I'd like them to all open for sure. I mean, everybody under the sun is looking for local shops to open. And I hope that's soon. I feel like it'll be soon. It's got to be soon. It's been too long.
Yeah. I feel like for Warcry, we might be able to make that happen. Because the local shops have been allowing Magic to happen.
Yeah. Yep.
And I feel like, I understand why in like a full tabletop game, it's more of an issue because you're there for like 3 hours. You're touching each other's models. All of that kind of stuff, touching each other's dice. But
a lot
for
of
Warcry, it's much smaller scale. It's quicker games. So that's actually something that's a question I'm going to have to shoot over to our local game shops and see what they think about Warcry in the store.
Yeah, I think it's worth us talking about it because, we're bringing our own war bands. We're bringing our own terrain. It's only set up on a small footprint. It's not like we have to clean a 6x4 table. And no one's really touching each other's stuff unless you want to. But, I think it's worth exploring because if they can, play some card games to a limited capacity crowd for a small amount of time, we might be able to get a Warcry game in. I mean, we can bang these things out in 35 minutes. It's great. So
and I think one of the conditions there as well is that we bring our own terrain and we bring our own board.
Yep. And
so,
we do time. All this Warcry terrain is fantastic. Every terrain kit they put out, I purchased it. I need to get the trees. That forest one has eluded me so far. But yeah, I mean, everybody we play with has terrain, and if you don't, doesn't matter because somebody else does. We can just drop it down and collect it back up. As long as you're not licking the bridges and stuff, you'll be all right.
Yeah. I when I initially built the starter box, I was like, I've got to build this exactly the way it is on the deployment cards.
I did that too.
And now, like, what is this? Over a year into Warcry, I'm like, man, I regret doing that. Like, I want a second set now so that I can build more interesting stuff.
Right. In the beginning, we had to because it was all new and unknown, and every time you flipped the card, you wanted to make sure you set it up to be that exact terrain deployment. Thank God for that one guy on YouTube that went through and worked out the correct building of all those things, because those directions were not very clear.
Yeah, half of the buildings were missing.
But now it's fantastic. Now in the new Tome 2020, and they touched on it last year too, terrain deployment setup is all freeform. There's a couple different ways you can do it now. So the sky's the limit. Yeah, it's the terrain setup. All you got to do is bring cool terrain. There's a million ways you can set it up between the two players for sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely digging the freeform terrain thing. Just kind of moving the pieces around. There's, some good basic pieces, and you've got the bridges, you've got the stairs, you've got big pieces of terrain that they block line of sight, they block movement, they add dimension, like vertical dimension to it.
Yeah.
The vertical I like a lot.
I do too. I really hope we see more vertical terrain. Those Corvus Cabal Birdmen are screaming out for some more verticality, and we're getting a little bit of it. We got the bell tower in the original core. That's pretty tall. We got the bell tower again in the catacombs, a little above ground terrain mixed in there. What is it? The Azurite Ruins gives us like a second level broken city building type of thing. I would like
the Azurite Ruins are very versatile to begin with.
Yeah. It's a good set. I like it. I like it a lot. But I hope we see some more terrain where we can go up. I definitely want to go up on a few things, mostly just because it's super fun jumping down on top of people from it. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, and it's relatively low risk. So your odds of dying from jumping from 6 inches above somebody are not very good.
Yeah, I think you got a worse chance of falling in the lava pits in the catacombs than jumping off the bell tower. So let's do it. Why not?
Yeah,
with the crazy wound tables that are on the campaign list, that's what you got to worry about. Jumping off the bell towers, just let it rip. That's what I want to do. Yeah. So hoping for more vertical terrain soon. We'll see what we get.
Yeah, it is. Like, all of the different war bands are just so tempting to collect all of them.
I know. I have a lot of card packs. I think I've got both card packs for Nurgle and no models for him yet. And then I went and played against you, and you had to drop the Nurgle on the table, nicely painted and very, very appealing. So now I got to go get some Nurgle. But the good news is, you can get both Nurgle warbands out of the start collecting boxes for Age of Sigmar. All the parts are right there. So it's simple. I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, the only thing that's missing out of the demon side is you don't get any Beasts of Nurgle in that start collecting box. And the Beast of Nurgle is actually like legit in Warcry.
Yep. And
as are Nurglings, which is bizarre. Like that Nurglings are actually good.
I see them too. Those yeah. Yep, definitely. But yeah, Beast of Nurgle, I got to get that piece. That's a fantastic looking model. He looks really fun. He's got some acid slime ability type of thing. Looks good.
Yeah, when he does damage when he retreats.
Yep, I like it. I like that. I gotta get on some Nurgle for 2021. Even though we're trying to avoid the plague, there's always room for Nurgle.
Yeah, I mean, I am a proponent of Nurgle in all possible venues. Age of Sigmar, Warcry. I mean, I'll even support Nurgle in 40K, even though I don't play 40K.
Oh man, you must be feverish.
I'm just saying, like, some of those Death Guard models are pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Behind me on a shelf, I think I've got thousands of points of Death Guard, and I've not played 40K ever, but I want to paint them.
Yeah,
paint them. So it's in the queue. It's in the painting queue for sure. They got some great models.
for sure. Yeah. Particularly, like, when I get my painting skills to, like, a nice place,
Yep.
I gotta get Martarian.
Yep.
He is just too good.
Yep.
So
I'm not there yet for painting. I couldn't do it justice. I would ruin it. So I understand.
yeah, I still feel like I'd ruin it mainly because of the wings. I don't know how I would do the wings on it.
I don't know. Maybe some Turbo Dork paints on those wings. A little iridescent love. You never know. Think about it.
So you're all on about the Turbo Dork paint. How did you like get so hooked up with this that you've got like the t-shirt and you've got a hat somewhere? And
oh man, I'm telling you. So I don't know. I found this paint. Somebody posted a picture somewhere in Facebook land, and it just looked really crazy with the turbo shifting effect. And I had started painting some Stormcast and needed some metal paints, and never considered any sort of shifting effect. I just needed some straight metallics, and found the Facebook page, and the rest was history. Just got a couple of bottles through mail order from the owner, Greg, and tried it out. Really liked the color shift. I did a bunch of the endless spells for Age of Sigmar. That giant purple sun. They got a great paint called 3D glasses that'll shift from purple to green and back again, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle looking thing. Perfect for the sun. I was really impressed by that color shift, and then just went all in and jumping on the Facebook page all the time to see what everybody's painting and trying to do a little bit of it here at home too. Yeah, the paint's super fun. Those shifting effects, they apply really well to some certain models that you may have, whether you got Stormcast armor or you got some Nurgle bug wings. It's all great. I love that paint. It's so fun. So
was the whole line color shift?
No, no. It's they do half of it is a turbo shift effect, and then the other half is just straight vibrant metals.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really good. It's they got a really good thing going on. They just came out with a Zenny shift line where you can Zenithal highlight your model and just gas the whole thing with one color, and depending on whether it falls on the white or the black part of the Zenithal, it'll be multiple different colors to give you like an auto shadow or highlight. It's really, really fun. I don't know what kind of sorcery goes into making that. I suspect it's more math that I try to avoid in my life. But yeah, the concoctions are great. It's really, really quite fun stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like some kind of sorcery to me.
It is. It's like mathematical witchcraft. I don't get it. I just know that I press the go button on the airbrush, and then it looks really great for my limited skills. I love it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody sacrificed a goat for this.
Possibly 2 goats. I'll have to ask Greg.
Nice. Well, are there any other things you can think of in the realm of deployment or setting up your list for deployment that you can think of that we haven't touched on?
No, I think we did it justice. It was interesting to find out the red versus blue. I generally spread all the war groups evenly, depending unless I'm playing specific armies, and covered that for aura abilities and get your speedy runners in the last group that comes on. No, it's all good. I think it's a great start, and very soon we start maybe looking at specific war bands, dive into this new Tome 2020 that dropped. There's tons of Grand Alliance books that just came out with updated quests, and there's so much. It's a great time to be in the Warcry for sure. For sure.
Definitely. Yep. Well, I can't think of anything else right now, so we will have to leave that for the next show.
Yep.
And so I think that's about it for now. We definitely want to get into the war bands in the future, and but I think that's it for now. So I will sign off for all of you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Yep.
I'll talk to you all later.
Everybody. All right. We'll see you guys later.